Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining to this webinar. We are just giving a minute for some of the audience to join. I'm already seeing some people are joining now, so we'll just give them a minute and then we'll get going right after that. All right, it's already a minute past our scheduled time, so I'll let you take over, Kiran.
Okay. So thanks everyone for joining this webinar on reducing complexities for developing applications for 5G era. I'm Kiran Vedula. I'm Director of Product Management for Media Applications Business. And I have my colleague Adnan Salim, who is our CTO for Software and Cloud Solutions. And together, today we'll cover a few topics. What are the opportunities and challenges that enterprises face today in terms of monetizing their investments in 5G? What we have done for that in terms of reducing those complexities and building our own platform, which is Engage Digital Platform, and how we kind of reduce complexities and time to market. There are a few interesting demos as well. So hang on and show what we have done, live demos, a couple of them. And also how we are using some of the APIs that the network layer is exposing and build applications using the APIs from the networks, especially the 5G networks. So that's what we'll cover. There will be a time for Q&A, so we'll answer your questions towards the end, but feel free to write whatever questions you have as the session is progressing.
There's just one more logistic item, Kiran, that we have some handouts in the handout section on your control panel. If you go under handouts, you will see a number of collaterals that are valuable regarding this topic. So please feel free to download them.
Yep, thanks. And just a brief introduction to Radisys, like who we are. So we are a 30-plus-year-old company founded way back in 1987, headquartered in Hillsboro, Oregon. We have business in various geographies. Sales team is spread out. And recently we are acquired and are part of Geo Platforms Limited, which is a subsidiary of Reliance Group. Primarily, we have four business lines, one being the reach, which includes our endpoints business, phones, smart IoT devices, medical equipment, etc. Then the connect line of business, which includes our access network offerings, 5G, FTTX, broadband offerings. And then Engage line of business, which is where we represent today, and the webinar is going to focus on. So we develop real-time communication solutions and digital engagement platform. And then Evolve, which is our services line of business, which includes consulting, design, deployment, and all kinds of efforts towards integration optimization of networks. So we play in multiple areas in a telecom journey and have been doing it for the last 30+ years. Next slide. So as you all have noticed, a lot of technologies have been maturing, especially the cloud communications, AI, ML, especially in the audio and video analytics space, the 5G and edge computing. So all these technologies are maturing, and that's creating opportunities for us in the multimedia business to create new experiences. And these experiences, are useful for different industries like, Industry 4.0, critical communications, or autonomous operations for warehousing, etc. And also in public safety, mostly government projects where public safety is critical. So all these industries are getting benefited from the convergence of a lot of these technologies, and especially in the multimedia space, we will cover a few examples today. In the multimedia space, again, stressing a bit on computer vision. Computer vision analytics, which we have developed and integrated into our platform. There is, it is forecasted to grow to, next in the next 3-4 years to about like 20 billion in overall business, and a bunch of factors. Not only the technology is getting maturity, but also adoption by the industry, right? Like the Industry 4.0 applications, industrial automation, autonomous vehicles, all that is converging and using a lot of the technologies linked to the network plus the analytics. And not only that, there is investments from the government sector, which is pushing the boundary to deploy some of these applications in smart cities, and further into many areas like digitization, etc. So all this is creating a good amount of opportunities for video analytics, and some of the use cases we have touched upon in this webinar will be related to that. Okay, so now what happened when we tried to develop some of the applications for this 5G era? We have come across multiple issues, and we have tried to highlight some of the commonly observed issues in different engagements, right? For example, in one of the large warehouses, the issue has been with a lot of technologies have to be integrated to create a really smart warehouse. So what we found is there are technologies, but they are very disjoint. You have to spend a lot of effort in integrating them. That includes a lot of cost and complexity. So we kind of try to resolve by bringing things together in an easily consumable fashion. We also observed that most of the applications, they don't really depend on or use the capabilities of the underlying network, and that creates some, though you have a good network, you are not able to utilize it to the full potential. You're still relying on older technologies or the way the applications are built, not dependent on the on the network itself, but by using the APIs that the network exposes, your applications definitely will get benefited. So we try to integrate our applications there, and that has given us good results. And then similarly, in one of the other engagements, another issue we noticed is dependency on the IMS networks. And some of the private network deployments, they don't want to go with the IMS for application development, right? So because that adds a lot of complexity, and it will reduce the pace at which innovation can happen in the application space. Now we reduce that dependency, though we can use the IMS capabilities if available, but we are independent of that, and that provides speed in which you can develop the applications. So all of this adds some amount of cost to developing applications. So if we try to reduce all that complexity and bring in that efficiency that's needed in this space. With that, we also want to open the floor for a quick poll. just to understand, what you really think is the issue that you have faced in this area. So this is the poll. What is the critical challenge that you face in developing 5G applications for the enterprises? So maybe we'll take like 45 seconds to get the responses.
Thanks, Kiran. We are just starting to see some responses coming in. It's interesting to see how the responses dynamics are a bit different from a webinar we did. So we did a similar webinar for for North American and the European region, and some of the responses are definitely aligning with what we are seeing, but it's interesting to see some of the responses that at least are a bit different, and at least in the percentage. So just give another 15 seconds or so. If you haven't voted, please do. Okay. We are almost about to end the any last minute entries, please bring that in. Okay. All right. I'm gonna close the poll now. And the results.
Okay, so we have the results, and yep, it's pretty interesting to see. There are, I think, ease of integrating multiple technology. I think that's the topmost issue with the 56%, and then the cost of optimizing the solutions for audio video analytics. Definitely, I think these are some things which we have noticed. So we agree with the response, and then we have like good amount of people also having issues with ease of development, ease of using computer vision models, and then lack of platforms with multiple use cases. But then the topmost are the ease of integration and the cost. So thanks everyone for taking time to vote, and with this, I think I'll hand over to Adnan, who will continue with explaining the platform and the demos. Over to you, Adnan.
Okay, thank you, Karen. So I think let's spend maybe a few minutes describing our Engage Digital platform, so you get a better understanding and view of its capabilities, what type of access networks it can connect applications to, and then ultimately how applications and how easy it is to build applications, which is one of the key goals, obviously, for the developers, not to have to be telecom engineer experts or data scientists with a lot of machine learning experience, AI, ML experience. So all of those complexities to be exposed to the developers in an easy enough way so that complex applications can be created quickly and deployed rapidly on networks. So those are kind of the key goals for the Engage Digital platform. And then looking at on the right-hand side, what type of applications can be created and what kind of applications have already been created using this Engage Digital platform. And then later on during this webinar, we'll give the participants examples of live demos of a couple of applications, so you hopefully get a really good firsthand feel for how applications are created. So again, the Engage Digital platform itself deals with all real-time audio and video and messaging components, and those communication aspects to these real endpoints or devices can be coming through private 5G networks or existing 4G LTE or Wi-Fi networks, and even extends these applications to web-enabled applications on mobile devices through WebRTC, whether it's iOS or Android, and also provides connectivity into existing PSTN capabilities as well. So as you can imagine, on the left-hand side, the applications once created through Engage Digital Platform can then be exposed and can be consumed by endpoints in terms of consumer devices as well as IoT devices in the form of cameras. The access network independence of the Engage Digital Platform allows a very wide variety of access networks and devices to be used as part of the applications. The actual application development aspect of Engage Digital is really exposed through, and we'll show you maybe a couple of live demos and what do application development actually looks like and what does it entail. So it's really exposes these complex capabilities to the developer through a visual design tool. And the visual design tool is really a drag and drop design tool. We'll show you a couple examples of that, where very complex things can be created in the matter of hours instead of in the matter of weeks through a visual design tool and connectivity, and then deploy the application. The full suite of capabilities of the Engage Digital Platform, of course, also available through a rich set of REST-based APIs that allow all the connectivity and audio and video and media processing, including all the AI machine learning capabilities that are built into the platform. So with that, here's only a very small representative set of applications that have been built, number of them by Radisys engineers and a number of them working with our customers and partners jointly. So you kind of see these representative applications built with Engage Digital Platform cover a fairly broad range of applications that can be created. So looking at the top left-hand corner, these are digital virtual assistants, where instead of having a text-based chatbot, you can really have a live audio and or video conversation with the backend bot or a virtual assistant, and then extending that beyond the connectivity into backend CRM systems or databases, where the interaction with the user, between the user and a virtual assistant or a bot, the information that's captured can then be populated into backend databases or CRM systems. So that's kind of one of the audio or speech-based examples with conversational AI. We've also integrated on the back end with ChatGPT, as it's getting fair amount of course, popularity and in the industry now with many different use cases where ChatGPT-based conversational systems are providing a lot of value in a lot of different industry verticals and areas of businesses. So conversing with a ChatGPT on the back end and making it audio and video accessible is another example of an application that was built with Engage Digital Platform. Live call screening, live language translation over a telephony call. So this is interesting. Actually, this catches a lot of people by surprise that that this application built with Engage Digital Platform is able to do live language translation between quite a few languages, dozens of different languages in real time in speech. So kind of this picture showing one person speaking in English and perhaps the other one, speaking in Japanese or Mandarin or French or German as an example, over mobile to mobile calls or mobile to any PSTN call for that matter. So again, an example of the powerful technologies that are built in the Engage Digital Platform makes the application development very easy and to create these applications and deploy them. On the left-hand side there's a wide range of computer vision, or what people sometimes refer to as machine vision capabilities, with a lot of pre-built models that we have, and I think we'll do a couple of demos of those in this webinar to show how easy it is to do a computer vision or machine vision based model where live video feeds can be used to throw inference on various objects and scenes and people and be able to take actions, not just detect them, but also to be able to take actions when those events are detected in these live video streams. So with that, let's look at the monetization aspect of, well, when these applications can be created, and I think as Karen pointed out as well, that once these applications are created, the ultimate goal, obviously, for everybody, right, in the industry is the monetization aspect, and more specifically around 5G and edge, because a lot of operators have already invested a significant amount of money deploying 5G public and private, more specifically private 5G networks. And as that investment continues, there is an expectation that those networks, particularly private 5G networks, have applications that will be monetizable. That's kind of where the focus of some of the stuff that we are talking about in this webinar is really geared towards, and that what type of applications can be created. And when those applications typically tend to be very industry vertical specific, and hence the acceleration of what people refer to as Industry 4.0 applications. So they're really referring to many different vertical markets that have not, to date at least, not leveraged more sophisticated AI-based, machine learning-based, and video analytics-based applications that can really help optimize those industry verticals. But now, as with convergence and maturity of 5G networks, as well as the maturity of underlying technology with respect to communications, as well as AI and machine learning technologies, and the ability to create these applications quickly, now can serve many different vertical markets. And some of them are just kind of listed out in the middle here. Certainly not a conclusive list, but kind of fairly representative, whether it's factory monitoring, kind of the example I'm going to show where there's an outdoor indoor factory and there's a lot of movement of people and objects and bodies, be able to track and control and optimize those factory deployments, whether it's factory or whether it's warehousing. Similarly for retail and monitoring, or it could be smart cities and traffic monitoring, whether it's outdoor or indoor at a shopping mall or an airport. A lot of security and surveillance that can be part of entertainment venues where you need security and surveillance, and even on enterprise campuses where security and surveillance aspects are required. So those type of applications do require a lot of bandwidth, and hence 5G is pretty critical for that. The bandwidth has to be there because there's a lot of video being used there, and as well they require a lot of machine learning and computer vision or machine vision capabilities to make any kind of real world use case and examples. So this is kind of where the Engage Digital platform's media analytics comes into play. What we have packaged together in the platform in the form of 100 or 100+ pre-built audio and video analytics models. It covers a broad range of things, some of the basic things like object detection, of people detection, face recognition. So those are some of the basics, but it kind of goes way beyond that in terms of the ability to go and train with additional machine learning training data to create new and unique training models in a very easy and quick to create and tune models, which don't necessarily need a team of, or maybe an army of data scientists. Surely that underlying complexity is there, but the ability for our developer community, for ourselves and for our customers, for them to be able to utilize these models and also be able to train and tune these models to rapidly create these industry vertical applications and deploy them in their choice of infrastructure, whether it's 5G or whether it's 4G LTE networks, or even in some cases, Wi-Fi built networks within enterprises. So with that, we're going to take a quick look. We said, well, these applications are easy to build, and we've said that a few times already in the webinar. So I'm going to start to give you maybe a quick flavor of, or an idea of how some of these applications can be quickly created. So we've spent a lot of time internally creating an optimal experience for the developer community. So, and one of the interesting or significant ways is the developers to have access to a visual design tool. So what you're seeing literally is a screenshot of our Engage Digital platform, one of the screens that is showing kind of widgets on the left-hand side, which can literally be dragged and dropped into the design panel here and connect through drag and drop. You can connect and create essentially a call flow type of an application where actions can be taken and pre-built capabilities can simply just be dragged in. As you can imagine, this thing didn't require a single line of code, and each one of these widgets or boxes, once you click on them, you fill in the properties and the parameters of what the behavior you'd expect. And once that's created, we provide tools to test it, and then be able to go all the way to lab trial it and commercially deploy these applications. So the visual design tool is fairly powerful. And as I mentioned earlier, on the right-hand side, full capabilities of the platform are available through a set of easy to consume and easy to write applications using essentially any choice of programming language, whether it's Python or JavaScript or C, or so this is language independent, because as long as the developer is using the REST APIs to create complex applications using these building blocks that are packaged as part of the Engage Digital platform, and also through webhooks to connect into third-party external systems, so that not everything is dependent on the Engage Digital platform. For example, integrating into somebody's database that is going to be unique to their financial system, for instance. So the ability to use webhooks to connect into those external systems to create a complete end-to-end solution, and not just one part of the solution. And I think the external cloud speech servers, also the platform allows the connectivity into Azure or AWS, for instance, if somebody wants to do speech recognition or text-to-speech, which is, by the way, also integrated into the platform. But external services through cloud platforms is also optionally provided, so that the application developer will have access seamlessly to those external cloud-based services as well when needed. And just very quickly, I mean, the type of applications or devices on the very far left-hand side covers a very broad set of capabilities. And these are enabled, so application built here and using the SDK can very quickly package that into an iOS app and deploy it, or an Android-based application and deploy it, or simply make it available behind a PSTN or a mobile number, or be able to create the application and make it available through websites or web-based apps, or existing VoIP SIP connects, or a set of cameras or sensors and devices that make up a set of IoT devices. So the breadth of devices is access network independent as far as the applications are concerned. So with that, I think just to maybe get closer to see, let's get a real view of maybe one maybe simple use case, but I will kind of show you an example of how quickly this application can be designed and created, and I'll give you hopefully a live demo of this as well. So here the scenario really is that here is a camera feed pointing to an outdoor pipeline facility of some sort, and the application needs to determine that if there's any flame or fire detected through the video cameras that are installed, then automatically creates an alert, and the alerts can be in the form of making an out-dial phone call to the facilities manager, as an example, or send an SMS message to a group of people who are managing this facility and identify which camera feed in this facility, outdoor facility, in this example use case, where the fire is located, and also be able to show them a live view of that camera feed, so that they can also observe if there's other people or animals or objects that really shouldn't be there, which can also then be detected through computer vision and training models. So this is kind of a monitoring and alerting system application demo that we're going to show you right now. And it's going to be completely designed and built through a very simple drag and drop visual design tool. So I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to have to minimize this screen over here for a second and kind of move my browser view in the front here and kind of show you what that looks like. So this is really kind of showing you a desktop share of my web portal into our Engage Digital platform. Certainly the amount of time given, we can't go through all the capabilities and functionality of the platform. We're more than happy to go through this in much more detail in terms of its capabilities. But as far as the demo itself goes, we have a visual design tool. So that's what we're going to do. Go into the design time, and we're going to look at the visual design tool and manage flows. So here's our flows. So we have a flow created that's called fire detection. So here we're going to go and see, let's edit that flow and see what it looks like. So essentially the flow, that entire application is really designed, as you can imagine, through these set of widgets that were literally dragged on the left-hand side and connected through here. So essentially what it's saying is take a camera feed, an IP camera feed, RTSP or HTTP camera feed, apply computer vision analytics to it through this widget here, And in this case, we selected fire detection. You can select many other different things that, as I mentioned earlier, many models, if we kind of look on the right-hand side, as I scroll through it, you'll see there's literally, and this is actually even itself a subset here that's showing up on the screen, but many different things that are already available as pre-built models that can literally just be dragged in here and configured in terms of the capabilities from computer vision that you would like, that the application would like to use. And once the fire is detected, then we say, what are the actions to be taken? So what we do here in this widget is to clone the media, duplicate the media streams, make a recording of that event so that somebody will want to analyze at what point in time that fire occurred, maybe a few seconds before the fire, and then continuing on after that. And also real-time streaming if somebody wants to watch a real-time view of it. And also so the alerting mechanism, make a phone call and alert somebody that a fire has actually occurred. So now let's see, hopefully that thing in action here now. So I'm going to go and run that particular flow application that I just showed you here. So I just click the start button here, and I'm gonna see when the thing is starting. And now it says it's running, so I'm gonna go and watch it now. So let's watch what's happening to that video feed here. So what you'll see here is the camera feed that is pointing to that pipeline, and also have my mobile phone next to me, and I'm going to drag that closer, a screen view of my mobile phone itself. Soon you should see a fire come up in the middle of the screen here, and there it goes. Hopefully, if you look closely right in the middle, there's a fire, and the green box is identifying that the fire was just detected on this camera feed. And as you will notice that my phone is now ringing to alert me of this event. So I'm going to answer the phone.
Source oil pipeline camera 20.
And the message that was created and customized for this event is a simple way. And also, by the way, as part of this application, I will have an email drop to my configured inbox that will say, here's a recording of the clip. And if you wanted to have multiple people called, all those cases are very easy to create. It's basically kind of giving you a kind of simple way that it's easy to develop. You can not just detect the analytics event itself, but also have all the notification and communications component tied to it as well. So I'm going to stop this one here and kind of give you a quick view of the next one I'm going to show you in this slide here. So in this one, what we're going to see is a live video feed of a street camera. And what we're going to want to do is that if there's ever more than X number of people, in this case, we configured it to 10 people, then dial a phone number and send an email alert as well for this particular event. So this may indicate congestion if there's more than X number of people. Let's say this is the application we wanted to create. So that application, a simple application like that, well, complex in terms of video analytics and all those capabilities, but simple to design and create and deploy. So here's the people counting, and I'm going to start this one. This is going to do the people counting from a street camera view. So let's start that, and let's wait until it's actually started. So this thing has started here. So I'm going to watch this one here, and I'm going to say this is the one I'm going to watch, and I'm going to say start this feed. So hopefully soon on the left-hand side, you're going to see the camera feed, and what you're going to see is once the threshold is detected, then what happens is that an alert or a call will be created where I will get a call or a notification. Unfortunately, this thing is not sending me notifications. I might have to restart this one here for a second. Populate this one here again, and we put in my email address, this, and say start. And here's, I guess you can't really see my phone. I think my phone kind of disappeared. Actually, no, it's actually right over here, and it's calling me now. I'm gonna put it.
Message from Radisys Engage Digital Application. The people count from source Japan_street_camera has reached the configured threshold. Please investigate.
So that was the outbound call with a very specific identified message that was sent to me based on this application, which is detecting that in this camera feed, if there's more than 10 people detected, and keeps track on the right-hand side, as you can see, the number of people in the current view. So let me go back in full screen mode here so we can see better. So with the computer vision applications, as you can imagine, with the drag and drop capabilities, as well as the full set of APIs, the ability to tie it into communications network in terms of outbound calls and notifications becomes a very quick and easy to create very complex applications in a simple way. And partly that's because we built well over 100 pre-trained models in the Engage Digital platform available to the developer community, and any combination of these can be used in any application. And on the right-hand side, you're giving you some idea of, you can imagine how many different types of applications, whether it's vehicle identification to people identification, or detecting license plates, or counting boxes or objects in the view of the camera. Many different unique applications can be created, along with the communications aspect in terms of being able to notify people as part of the application, and be able to put them in real-time notification when needed, when those alerts are actually created. By the way, these object models are fully trainable. So somebody says, well, I like this particular object, but I need to do it very thing specifically. So there's some, through additional data set, we have the capabilities to go work with our customers or partners to be able to go create new models or train existing models with additional training data. So as you can imagine, some of these applications that would require flexible deployment, because not all camera feeds and not all applications require super low latency. But there are a number of applications that do have a real low latency, particularly computer vision applications. They would need to be placed much closer to the edge, typically around a handful of milliseconds range in terms of response time. Whereas some things that are not so critical in terms of real-time response, those applications can sit further up in the network, or perhaps sometimes even in the operator's core network or up in the data center. And other applications that are even less real-time in terms of media recording or any post-processing of data, they can be still further placed up into the public or private network. So every application and its functional component will have some differing requirements in terms of its latency and bandwidth and responsiveness. So the Engage Digital platform allows components of the application to be very easily deployable at the appropriate location, so that it's optimized from a deployment and cost perspective. So that ends up reducing backhaul savings. So you're not transporting all your video or media content up to the cloud. Security and privacy is important too, because the media content stays closer to the edge rather than going up into the public cloud infrastructure. And of course has some regulatory and compliance issues too, because a lot of the data may be sensitive, and there will be some regulatory requirements or compliance requirements where the data cannot be shared outside the organization, and hence it's important to keep it close to the edge where the actual application itself is deployed. So we take a more of a kind of an architectural view over here, that, well, what parts of the application, a couple examples that we saw. So the one part of the application is really looking at the video feeds and doing what's called video inferencing. So the inferencing engine is running, as you can see in this diagram here, literally at close to the RAN, where the RAN is deployed. So this is where all the real-time video inferencing, in our case, we were detecting fire, or we're detecting people or objects, or any kind of the video classification aspects, or the video inferencing engine. So that portion of the workload or could be distributed, because you can imagine in a factory floor, for instance, as an example, or in a retail mall or outlet, there may be dozens and dozens of those camera feeds that are coming in at different locations in that facility, and you cannot put the entire application infrastructure there. You just want to do the inferencing there at those locations where the cameras are located or the endpoints are located. So these things are deployed further, highly distributed, located towards the edge, whereas sending an SMS message or making an outbound call is not so real time. That portion of the application and notification and emailing, as an example, those event notifications is non-real time, and that portion of the application can be would be deployed further up in the network, so it's not consuming constrained resources at the edge of the network. So the Engage Digital platform is this way highly suitable for 5G edge deployments because it can control the network resources and also allows the ability for these applications to be highly distributed and placed where the 5G edge infrastructure is available. And also the connectivity of the thing, this is how our voice, my outbound call occurred. When you saw my phone ring, we connect into an IMS, into an operator's IMS network to send an SMS message or make an outbound call. So it has the full capability to integrate and work alongside existing voice over LTE or video over LTE IMS core networks. So I'm looking at it quickly from a standards and component perspective. So again, in the red where you see the Engage Digital platform where I'm pointing at, it includes a full suite or communication suite as well in terms of messaging and calling, inbound, outbound, audio, video communications aspect, as well as you saw, a lot of media processing, whether it's speech recognition to language translation to video and computer vision analytics. So a lot of media processing components built into the thing, and as well as 5G network APIs that allow the application to be aware of the 5G infrastructure that is deployed on, for instance, the 5G core. And through a standardized set of Camera APIs, what we're evolving, and the standards community also is now defining this, is a lot of obvious attention and for the reasons of being able to utilize the underlying networks and monetize them, to be able to go and request the network for quality of service and quality of demand, get a bandwidth reservation, being able to allocate resource slices to ensure that if it's a mission critical application or requires a certain amount of bandwidth, those resources are adequately reserved by the 5G core and ultimately by the RAN deployment. So collectively, these capabilities exposed through Camera API that give the ability for these applications to not only get the current resource availability of the network, but also reserve those resources and also be able to determine the availability and of the endpoints themselves, whether the IoT devices, are they roaming or they're not roaming, what is the current registration status, etc. So there's a lot of device specific information through this Camera APIs will also be available as part of the Engage Digital platform. So above that is the actual application that was built, the 5G monetization application. This could be many of them, and as I've described earlier, they can connect into public-private cloud infrastructure, which may be, let's say, an enterprise database or management system of some sort. So this is an open system that allows through webhooks and APIs to connect to any enterprise network or any public or cloud infrastructure over the internet to make a complete end-to-end application. And finally, of course, we saw the IMS core network. So these applications work alongside or side by side when any telephony or communication services are needed. They're simply available through easy to use drag and drop visual design tool or through a set of REST-based APIs. So kind of looking at all that stuff together and stepping back for a second and saying, okay, well, let's look at what are all the things that the Engage Digital platform is providing. So from a platform perspective, I think as I mentioned, it has a wide range of APIs in terms of programmable voice, programmable video, ability to send messages, connect into other OTT messaging applications, programmable IVR with conversational and AI-enabled conversational logic in terms of virtual assistants, speech recognition, speech analytics, converting speech to text or text to speech, for example, video analytics. I think these are the couple of things we showed during the webinar here, but there's many other capabilities that are also part of the platform. And also the infrastructure itself in the middle here, the ability to connect into SIP networks or into IMS core networks, the ability to provision phone numbers, location services of those devices, authentication, embedded low latency media applications. So the optimization and availability of the infrastructure are built-in capabilities of the Engage Digital platform. So now, in addition to all of that, sort of the technical stuff that typically a software developer or design team would need, they also get provided with a lot of SDKs that are ready to use. So for instance, if somebody's building an iOS application or an Android or web application, there's SDKs that are provided as part of the platform that make the development of the application much quicker than having to kind of build it from scratch. So we showed you kind of a little view of the visual design tool. Of course, it comes also with dashboards for quality monitoring of the application once it's already deployed, the consumption of the application for billing and reporting, and a self-service portal. One thing I didn't mention was that the Engage Digital platform itself is fully multi-tenant. So our customers will consume it as a multi-tenant and create subtenants within their deployment and either offer that to their end customers or create multiple tenants and consume the different tenants of their deployment within different departments, maybe within their own organization. So finally, there comes packaged with a lot of API reference docs, obviously a lot of tutorials, how to get started guides, in terms of demos, quick start packages that include that. So the whole point of this, and code samples and code repositories, of course, also included in the Engage Digital platform when we give access to that to our customers. So to make it easy as possible with already implemented actual code examples and plugin libraries so that they can learn very quickly and then get to building their own application. We also have kind of above and beyond that, a lot of pre-built applications and ever-growing library of applications that have already been built using this platform, either by internally within Radisys teams, as well as a lot of applications that have been built through TADHack or other industry hackathon events where the community globally gets invited to get access to our platform. They go and create over literally the period of a weekend, couple of days, from given access to the platform. They have created some very compelling and unique applications. We can definitely share those and what was done, including some of the more commercial grade applications that we've built or we built along with our customers. Those applications are also available to our customers who are more inclined towards just deploying the application and not quite ready to go and consume the platform from a developer perspective. So certainly a lot of the applications some of the applications that I showed earlier, there's a lot more of those in our library that a customer could say, well, this application is really interesting to me. Can I deploy just that application in my network with some customization, white labeling, and tuning? Then absolutely, that's kind of what this blue box here on the top right is representing in terms of pre-built applications. So those pre-built applications can then be very quickly deployed with tuning and customizations as our customers need it. And very quickly, the last thing I'll mention again, maybe kind of reiterate on that, that the deployment is really important too. Once these applications are created, how quickly and easily and what diversity of platforms can these applications be deployed? So we support a very wide range of deployment options, right? So our customers can deploy on their choice of public cloud infrastructure. They can deploy the entire Engage Digital platform if they choose on AWS or maybe Azure if they like. If they have their own enterprise private cloud or data center, they can get the collection of software packages as being packaged this entire solution. They can license that and deploy it in their own facility, in their own enterprise location, or they can do any kind of hybrid deployment as well, whether if it's on their private 5G infrastructure, or maybe it's a hybrid of private 5G infrastructure and potentially maybe some components that are non-real time could further be up in the cloud or up in their deployment option of a data center perhaps. So the hybrid option is also flexible. I think all of these flexible deployment options come from the fact that the entire platform was built ground up, being cloud native, with a high degree of containerization and microservices architecture. So it's easy to package and bundle these workloads and distribute them across various infrastructure and deployment types, as I kind of briefly articulated here. So with that, I think maybe I'll hand it back to Kiran for some summary and thoughts about next steps.
Okay, thanks, Adnan. So summarizing the discussion till now, it's the Engage Digital platform brings in all the flexibility, as Adnan has pointed out, mostly usable or integratable with 5G networks using the network capabilities. We enable application innovation. You can develop a wide range of applications on top of it. We have done deployments where some of the applications are developed very quickly based on the no code, low code development environment. Basically, developers who have little to no experience of coding can also implement some of the applications, and that reduces the time to market, and eventually that gives the monetization opportunities. So with that summary, if you want further information on the platform, feel free to reach out to engage at sales@radisys.com. We can discuss about any custom demonstration, or further having any trial account set up. You can try the platform. Please reach out. There are a few downloads we have included in the presentation itself. You have a solution brief and the video. Also, there are a few material which is attached on the right top. If you see the control panel, there you see handouts. We have uploaded some of the material already. Feel free to download that. With that, I think we can open the floor for any questions. Ashish, if you have any questions from the audience.
Yes, great. No, thank you for all the great information about the product, and how service providers and system integrators can really leverage this platform to build applications. We have an interesting question that says, can I bring in my own machine learning models and deploy on Engage platform, or connect to Amazon or Google AI models via APIs?
Maybe I could take that. Yeah, really good question, definitely. So as I was kind of briefly mentioning, that the platform is open in the sense that it's not locked down to what we have created within Radisys as part of Engage Digital. So absolutely, if the model has been created already, can it be used and triggered through the Engage Digital platform? The answer is definitely yes. So there's a lot of a standardized model, whether it's TensorFlow or say YOLO model. There's a number of others. There's a half a dozen or more industry models that the industry in general uses, and that's what we use as well. So if the model has already been created, it can simply be brought in and provisioned as on within this platform, and then utilized instead of having to go and create a new one. So the answer is absolutely yes. We have a model that can definitely be used within this platform.
Great, thank you, Adnan. While we have the Q&A going on, there's another poll up on the screen. Please, I encourage everybody to take a look and respond. We have another question that asks for some more details on the kind of analytics models that are supported in the platform. If you can expand on that a bit.
Yeah, so the models, I think one thing that I maybe didn't stress on, that when we talk about AI and machine learning, it definitely covers a lot of video cases, but also includes a lot of speech cases too. So that means that the model can be trained to detect, let's say, if you heard a loud bang, or let's say a gunshot, or maybe a dog barking, or somebody clicking on a keyboard, for instance. So any speech-based models, whether they're audio, speech, spoken, or sounds, those models are also a part of our AI machine learning algorithms and models. But more specifically to the question about computer vision or machine vision models, those include quite a wide range of things. So one is obviously face recognition, face detection, but also more complex than that. So basically emotion recognition or identification. So for instance, if I was smiling, the model would be able to detect the person smiling or frowning, or if they look angry or happy or sad. So the intention can be analyzed, not just detecting somebody's face from an identity perspective, or that there's an actual body or a person there. So it can be a lot more refined and detailed just in that aspect as well. But in terms of object classification, there's a very large set of things that range from detecting boxes of a certain color, to cars, to character recognition that can be used for QR code recognition, to scenes and gestures as well, that if I make a hand gesture like this, hopefully you can see it, the model is to detect that I'm waving my hand in a rightward motion versus maybe on a leftward motion. So there's a lot of models that are built and available that are based on scene detection. So the scene is basically movement. So it's not identifying an object, but if there's a movement in the scene, it can go and detect the movement in the scene as well.
Very interesting. Thank you. Another question that came up is, can you share an example of application you've done on private 5G networks?
Yeah. So go ahead, Kiran, please.
Yep. So maybe let me take that. We have an interesting use case where a private 5G deployment, which doesn't want to use an IMS network, which I've touched upon earlier. So the deployment was supposed to have a critical, critical requirements on the latency. That's a very important requirement in that particular deployment. And the voice application that we developed in that scenario had to perform according to that requirement. And the 5G network inherently provides all the capabilities, but the application also need to perform with all the high performing codecs, which doesn't take much time to process the packets in real time. And we have all the application capabilities in the platform, including the necessary codecs. With that, we were able to generate very low latency communication, which is required for that particular 5G private 5G deployment. So that's one interesting use case.
Yeah, Nan, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think maybe I'll just add one more in terms of computer vision. So there's a kind of deployment in process where there's actually literally very similar to kind of what we demoed, but a little more sophisticated in terms of that deployment, which is really about a very large warehouse where there's a lot of items that are coming in into the warehouse and a lot of objects that are leaving the warehouse, as you can imagine, in terms of returns. Or so the computer vision algorithm on these moving assembly lines where these products are coming in and products are going out, to be able to quantify them and determine that there's even an optimized flow of this of these objects that people are handling, as well as they're flowing through these set of conveyor belts, and also detecting that the appropriate amount of staff are wearing their helmets and they're supposed to be their authorized employees of the warehouse, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of those things that really rely on computer vision capabilities to optimize and manage the sort of the complex operations of a very large warehouse that requires a private 5G deployment, as you can imagine, the number of cameras and the real-time response that's needed. So that's another kind of pretty interesting use case that you deploy.
Great. Well, I think we're coming towards an end now. And I appreciate everybody's time to stay with us and listen to this webinar. And thank you, Nan and Kiran, for great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.